please.
Well, I should also confess that I'm the child of two professors, and very, very closely, very nearly took the vow of academic poverty. So myself, so I feel that education is a part of my genetic makeup. I want to pick up on a couple of the themes Angel touched on because I think they're very close to my observation. If we started to describe the education system in the world across its whole gamut, from early education all the way through to professional or graduate education, and we just described it in terms of its fundamental attributes as a competitive business, we would be describing an industry that is a complete disaster. This is an industry that's not global. It's an industry that has, as Angel referred to, a terrible time innovating and changing. It has a very inflexible cost structure. It has a very poor record of innovation. It has a significant amount of government intervention. And we could go on and on. So when we think about rebooting education, if we take all that we know about opportunities for innovation and for exciting new models, perhaps not-for-profit models, perhaps business models, taking hold, this is a very ripe environment because it's an unreformed, inflexible, and largely ineffective system. I know it's ineffective because in our company at Monitor Group, we do quite a lot of work on this whole issue of national competitiveness, and there are no heads of government or leading ministers that I know in important countries that don't want to talk about improving education. In fact, it's safe to assume that improving the competitiveness of the education system is a fundamental goal for 90% of the top 50 economies of the world. I feel very badly for the poor Minister of Education of Finland because they do very well in the global poll, so this poor person gets endless visits from abroad. He ought to be the foreign minister because he's got so many foreign delegations coming to visit Finland all the time. Another thing I did want to say is that if we think about the pattern of innovation in education and how we might reboot it, rather than think about all the things in the system that don't seem to work very well, we may want to start with a fundamental question, which is what product, what output would we like the system to create? And what I hear in talking to political leaders, social leaders, business leaders is very consistent, and it's we'd like to create productive citizens who are well prepared to lead happy, normal lives. In some ways, what they're saying, we'd like people that are equipped with the basic skills to function in a modern, rapidly changing world, who are capable of gaining and sustaining productive and fulfilling employment and becoming the basis for the formation of healthy families. And when we think about that, it strikes me that the education system begins asking the wrong question. It begins asking, what do we want or need to teach these people? As opposed to, what do they need to be equipped to do when they leave the education system? And if you look at universities around the world, as Angel suggested, they'd all be recognizable in their basic model to President Dunster, who was president of my university, Harvard, who used to accept cows as payment for tuition in the 18th century. So he could be reincarnated today, and he would basically understand the fundamental structure of most of the major distinguished universities in the world. That there are faculties, that there are degrees, that there's a required course of study, that you end up a scholar in certain areas. they're really designed, universities are designed to create academics, not to create people who are going to go into the private or public sector and add value to society in different ways. And innovators in the future, I think, will focus on that anomaly. And we do see models, I think, particularly in the United States, but also in places like China with companies like New Oriental, a great language teaching school there, which focuses on the outcome and then creates a system that takes advantage of today's technologies, today's what we know about pedagogy, what we know about the capacity of the human brain to learn and remember information, and designs its whole system around those insights, as opposed to extrapolates its system from this great tradition of increasingly irrelevant academic learning.